This is Fitness Blender's Abs and Obliques workout. In this routine, we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 8 different exercises, and we're doing each exercise for 50 seconds. Before you start this routine, we suggest 10 to 15 minutes of a warm-up cardio. Let's go ahead and get started with round number 1. Our first exercise is the side hip raise. Let's go ahead and start out by laying on your right side first. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. With this motion, you're going to be laying on that right side to start out with that right elbow directly underneath you, propping your torso up just a little bit. You're going to lift those hips up really nice and high, getting a tight squeeze from the base of that rib cage to the crest of that hip on that right side of the body, that bottom side of the body. And you also want to make sure that you're keeping a straight line from your torso, your chest, your waist, and your thigh. All needs to be in a nice straight line. You want to make sure that those knees are bent off at about a 90-degree angle back behind you. That's going to help you keep your balance just a little bit, leaning back into those heels. Then nice and slow, main thing to focus on is just lifting those hips. Tight squeeze every single time, kind of shoving that shoulder down towards those hips, then letting it relax back down. We're almost done, just a few more seconds left. And let it relax. Alright, we're going to switch sides. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. This time on that left side, propping your body up with that left elbow. Nice and slow, lift those hips up as high as you can, crunching that left shoulder down towards that left hip. Get a nice tight squeeze from the base of that rib cage to the crest of that hip. You're also going to feel it to the outside of that thigh. Just mainly focus on trying to get those hips as high as you possibly can every single time, drawing that shoulder down underneath you. Now remember, you want to try to keep that body in a nice straight line the entire time along with those thighs. So that torso into those thighs should be in a nice straight line from shoulder down to knee. Don't let those hips kick back behind you or in front of you. And then nice and slow, just all that motion is just going straight up and down. We're almost done, just about 10 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the W leg raises. You're laying flat on your back for this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those legs are going to start directly above those hips. Drop them straight down with those feet together. Then just a few inches off the ground, you're going to bring those legs out nice and wide. Then slowly start bringing them straight back up. So you want to bring them right back up in line with those hips. Then slowly back down, bring those feet back together. Lifting them directly back up above those hips again before you start the motion over. Just make sure that you're alternating every single time you lift those legs. Those feet are going to be either together or apart. Just alternate back and forth between the two. And we're almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's move on to the next one, the plank knee tucks. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Go ahead and come up into that full push-up position. You're going to draw that right knee up underneath you, kicking it outside to the left side of your body. Then place that foot back down to that full push-up position and repeat the motion with that left leg, kicking it out to the right side of your body. Just keep switching back and forth, rotating those hips as much as you can, but trying to keep those shoulders as straight as possible. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the windmill jackknife crunch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those arms are going to be out to the sides, coming straight up over top of your head, then back down to those hips. At the same time, you're going to be extending those legs out just a few inches off the ground, Then tucking those knees up to that stomach and that chest, getting a little bit of a crunch at the top, then extending everything right back out. Every single time you extend those legs, you should have those abdominal muscles engaged, trying to press that lower back flat against that mat. And every time you hug those knees into your chest, bring those arms down to your sides, you want to get a nice tight squeeze and a little tiny bit of a crunch. You should feel this to the top of those thighs, the front of that hip, and those abdominal muscles especially. You should also feel a little bit into the front of that shoulder. Almost done, 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, moving on to the next one. This is the crab kicks. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Placing those hands back behind you. Bring those hips up nice and high, trying to keep a nice straight line from your knee to your shoulder, and then alternate back and forth with your left and right leg, taking one off the ground, kicking it nice and high above that hip, and then dropping it back down, alternating it over to the other leg, and then just repeating that motion back and forth. You should really be feeling this in your butt primarily, that lower back and those hamstrings, then again a little bit into those shoulders for stabilization. Almost done, 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the toe touch crunches. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Get those legs directly above those hips, nice and slow, extend up towards those toes like you're trying to touch those toes. Get a nice tight crunch every single time you do. When you come back down, try to keep those abs constantly tight. Don't let them completely relax. And then press it right back up. It's a nice easy motion, but it makes it really difficult because those hamstrings are trying to work against you. And we're almost done. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the oblique crunches. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Laying flat on your back with your knees propped up about a 90-degree angle. You're going to bring that left leg over top of that right, so that left ankle is right on top of that right knee. And then you're going to crunch up with your right elbow across to that left knee. Just get a nice tight squeeze going to the left as hard as you can, as tight of a crunch every single time as possible. Just make sure you keep repeating the same side over and over again. We're going to switch sides here in just a bit. And we're almost done, about 5 seconds left on this side. And let it relax. We're going to go ahead and switch sides. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now this time that right ankle is going to be up on top of that left knee. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember this time it's going to be opposite with those legs. That left elbow this time is coming up to that right knee, trying to get a nice tight squeeze every single time. Rotating those shoulders as far as possible, trying to get both those shoulders up off the ground every single time. Get a nice tight crunch. Almost done, 5 seconds left. and let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the plank. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Drop out in that full plank position. If you can't quite hold this the entire time, you can always drop onto those knees. The main thing you want to focus on is trying to keep those abs really nice and tight. Keep those hips up. Make sure you don't stick them up too high. You want to keep a straight line from your shoulder all the way down to your ankle. And one thing to help protect your back is to kind of get a little bit of a crunch, kind of roll those hips in towards you just a little bit. So you're actually kind of tilting those hips underneath you. So you're trying to do almost like a little crunch motion. Now you'll be feeling this in your abdominal muscles, your hip flexors, the front of that hip, and the top of that thigh. Also a little bit in those shoulders. But this is your last exercise, so try to hold through it as long as you possibly can. Just about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, that was the end of round number 1. Go ahead and pause it here if you needed a little extra break. All right, let's go ahead and get started with round number 2. Our first exercise, the side hip raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Propping yourself up on that right elbow right underneath that shoulder, lifting those hips up nice and high, trying to keep a straight line from that shoulder all the way down to those knees, making sure those knees are bent at around a 90-degree angle with those feet back behind you for a little bit of support. Just main thing to focus on is getting those hips up as high as you can, getting a tight squeeze from the base of that rib cage to the crest of that hip. Almost done. Got about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. We're going to switch sides. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Again, trying to keep a nice straight line all the way through that body, from that shoulder all the way down to that knee. Those knees bent at about a 90-degree angle with those feet just back behind you. Nice and slow, press into that knee and that elbow, lifting those hips as high as you possibly can. Tight squeeze in the base of that rib cage, the crest of that hip, all on that bottom oblique, that left oblique. Almost done. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to that next exercise, the W leg raises. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Starting with those feet together directly above those hips. Drop those legs straight down to just a few inches off the ground. Then split them apart as wide as you can. Bring those legs right back up. Then bring them back down. Feet back together. Then bring them straight back over top of those hips again to that starting position. Just keep alternating back and forth between feet together and feet apart. Almost done. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, the plank knee tucks. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Come up to that full push-up position. Bring that right knee up underneath you, kicking it off to the left side of your body, rotating those hips as much as you can. Then do the same thing with the left leg. Bring it off to the right side of your body. Just try to keep those shoulders as parallel to the ground as you can. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's move on to the next one, the windmill jackknife crunch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those arms coming directly over your head, down to those hips. Then at the same time, those knees are going to tuck into your chest and then extend back out just a few inches off the ground. Just make sure those abs stay nice and tight the entire time, and you're trying to press that lower back down flat against that mat. Almost done, just about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next one, the crab kicks. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. With those hands back behind you, bring those hips up off the ground nice and high. Trying to keep them up as high as you can so there's a straight line from your knee to your shoulder. Then alternate back and forth. Bring one leg up, kicking it straight up above that hip. Bring it back down, and then do the same motion with the opposite leg. Just keep moving back and forth, trying to keep those hips as high as you can. Almost done, just about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's move on to the next one, the toe touch crunch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those legs come directly above those hips, trying to keep that knee as straight as you can. Then crunch up towards those toes, reaching up as high as you possibly can. Remember, if you want a little bit easier version, point those toes away from you. If you want a little harder, flex those toes down towards you. Just makes that hamstring tighten up a little bit more. Makes you have to work a little bit harder to get those shoulders off the ground. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's move on to the next one, the oblique crunch. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. With that left leg propped up on that right leg, bring that right elbow across that left knee, get a nice tight squeeze every single time, trying to pull those shoulders up off the ground as high as possible, getting as much rotation to that shoulder as you can. You're going to feel this in your abdominal muscles as well as that left and right oblique at the same time. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And go ahead and let that side relax. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. This time using that left elbow, bring it across to your right knee. Get a nice tight squeeze in the opposite direction. And we're almost done. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This is our last exercise, the plank. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Come up onto those knees and toes. Try to keep those hips up nice and high. If you start getting a little bit too tired, you can always drop down onto those knees and finish up with a half plank, but try to keep those legs up off the ground as long as you possibly can. And remember, keep a little tiny bit of a crunch going the entire time, kind of rocking those hips underneath you slightly, rounding that back, and it'll really save that back, really protect it. And we're almost done, just a few more seconds. And let it relax. All right, that was your last exercise, and that means you just finished Fitness Blender's abs and oblique workout.